Okay, so this video is about my transplant of some Spirea japonica, these two large bushes that I have in my yard. In this case, I'm doing it in the early spring, when the ground has thawed, yet the bushes are still dormant. First thing I like to do is tie up all of these branches so they're out of the way. I basically used a ratchet strap, put it around the bottom, and then just kind of pulled the strap up to raise the branches out of the way. Basically pull them up kind of like a pair of pants up and around the bush. Next thing I do is kind of clear away the underbrush so I can see where I'm about to dig. And much like they tell you, always call before you dig. Well, I found this nice fiber optic cable lying here on top of the dirt, partially buried, so thank you jackasses for a lousy installation job. In any case, mark off anything that you don't want to put a shovel through. And then you basically want to go around the bush and, about the drip line of the bush, use a nice sharp spade and kind of dig around there so that you can separate the finer root from the surrounding soil. And then you want to make sure that you go and in the area where you're going to transplant the bush, dig a nice hole bigger than the root ball that you're about to transplant over there. Next thing I like to do, because this is a rough and dirty transplant, is put a rope around the base of the bush. You can do this on this particular type of bush because it's very hardy and it responds quite well to massive amounts of abuse. I know this because I've transplanted about 6 of these damn things already. And use a nice heavy-duty truck and yank that fucker out. Now, you don't want to be too rough about it because, again, you don't want to necessarily break the bush. So I like to tension up the rope, get a slight little pull on the bush, and then just go back and with my spade again, just do a little bit of extra digging around so you can actually get under the root ball a little bit, separate that from the soil underneath. And just go back and do a little more tugging. Like I said, we're being rough here, but not too rough. A little more digging, a little more checking. I mean, the goal here is you want to yank it out with the least amount of effort required, but you also don't want to kill this thing. Even though it's dormant, you don't want to put it through too much abuse. Otherwise, you run the risk of having to then transplant later on a dead bush, which you don't want to do. If you're going to do this, you want to do it once. Yank that fucker out. By the way, please excuse what seems to be my foul language, but when I call a bush a fucker, that's actually technically accurate. Fucker. Anyway, continue to double check and then do your final pull to get that thing out of the hole. Ugh. Now, if you did dig around properly, you should see a very nice clump of mud stuck to all of your roots. That's a good root ball. As long as you don't destroy the roots too much on this nice dormant plant, it should spring back to life. Alright, what I did here, because I need to move this heavy thing, it's probably, I don't know, 200-300 pounds, that's a lot of dirt there, is I actually strapped a wheelbarrow to it. And you'll notice me doing weird things here, like putting the wheelbarrow on top. Nobody said I always do things the most intelligent way. Trust me, I tried several things before I came up with this method this time around to get this bush into the wheelbarrow. Anyway, tighten that thing up a little bit. Shake it so it looks like you're actually doing some sort of important verification. And since I still had the rope tied around this thing, I actually used it to gain a little bit of extra leverage so I could pull from the top of the wheelbarrow here. And yank, yank, not nearly enough. Gonna go ahead and try again. Yep. Nope. Not gonna work. Alright. Well, now we know just about how much force we're gonna need. Yank that fucker! Boom! Okay. So, we got it to move. Cool. Alright, it's ready to be moved over to its new home. There's the hole. Stick it in the hole. Ready? Wait for it. Cool.
Bombs away!
Alright, now I gotta get the wheelbarrow out of the way. And with some gentle yanking on the roots, and ultimately I used a big large digging bar to help reposition this thing by prying on it underneath. Get your bush properly positioned in its new home. Boom! There you go. Alright. Then you go and take all the dirt that you dug out of the hole and use it to fill around the roots. Make sure they're nicely covered, because they like dirt. And then you gotta kind of water it in, right? You want to get that dirt soaked so that it kind of gets down there around the roots. You don't want any air pockets, because that just creates a lousy situation for your transplant and your transplant success. All right, there we go, all soaked in. And then we just basically want to throw some of these leaves back on there for a nice mulch, because in this particular area of my yard, I leave the leaves there, naturalized. Eventually you'll probably want to prune this thing to give it a nice shape, but that's up to you.